So right now we have a basic load balancer that has a single public IP address that is sending traffic to this set of virtual machines, has a health probes, and we have a single set of load balancing rules for port 80. Okay. Now there are times when we have our virtual machines with more than one type of application running on it. So we can actually create another public IP address on the same load balancer. So let's add the second load balancer IP to this load balancer. We're going to choose from our existing public IPs. I created a public IP called second IP, and we're basically going to say the second IP is now assigned to this load balancer. Okay, it's going to take a second to update. But we don't have any rules defined for that IP address, so right now the load balancer wouldn't know what to do with that traffic. Again, it wouldn't be configured yet for that traffic. Let's assume, though, that we're going to leave our backend pool the same. We're not adding any new servers. These three virtual machines are still the virtual machines that are going to respond to all traffic. We go down to load balancer rules, and we're going to add a second set of rules. Now this is second rules. Give it a unique name here. Now instead of using the default IP address, we're going to use the second IP address that we created. Now since we're sending traffic to the same backend pool, we probably don't want to, we can accept traffic on port 80, but we probably want to use a different IP address port for that. So if we were to go into the 8080 port, then we can have two applications running in our virtual machines, one responding to port 80 for the other rule, and a different application set up in IS responding to port 8080. Okay, so using different ports allows you to have multiple web servers essentially responding to traffic for the same IP address. Now we pretty much could rely on the same health probe if we wanted to, but since we're using a different port, we probably should create a new health probe for port 8080. Okay, and if I could do that, but I won't. But basically, we would want a second health probe for the second application. Same settings in terms of sessions and timeouts, etc. Hit OK. And now we have a single load balancer that's accepting traffic from two IP addresses, two unique domain names, for instance, and sending this traffic to the same backend servers using different rules. So accepts it on port 80, sends it back on port 80. The rule that's being updated now accepts it on port 80 for a different IP address, but sends it to the backend pool over port 8080. And so we can see that we can have multiple rules in the same load balancer basically handling all traffic going to this backend pool. Now we really wanted to get fancy. Now in the basic load balancer, we can only support this one backend pool. In a standard load balancer, it allows us to have a mixture of virtual machines and other devices, remember. Okay, so this is the top level overview of a load balancer, which again, it's only handling IP addresses. You'll see that we did not have the option to configure based on URL, domain name, path, anything like that. Purely doing traffic filtering based on IP addresses and ports. The application gateway is what allows us to do that higher level traffic.